so good to see all of you this morning. I don't miss anything. I tell you, I don't miss a thing. I don't miss a thing. So this morning, I'm here to talk about that all your beliefs are decisions. All of your beliefs are decisions. And we did not choose every experience that we've had in our life, but what we did do is we determined what meaning we applied to every experience that we had in life. We made those decisions. Change requires a decision. And we are always just one decision away from a whole new avenue of opportunity in our lives. Because where we are today, it's based off of the meaning that we have placed in our life up to this point, but we are always at a point of being able to change our minds and change our experience. If you want something different in your life and you get to choose what that is, you can decide today that that will be your experience going forward. Today, we're looking at a book inspired by David Bayer, A Changed Mind. By the way, if you ever want to read something that's very science of mind and specifically talks about the science associated with belief, this is a book you should try to read. It's a journey about his self-awareness from his experience of what he had in life and how to rewire his brain from where his world was going at the time when he went into a crisis. He needed to move from what he called the primal state to a powerful state. And change your thinking, change your life. To change your thinking, you must make a new decision. And before David Bayer was a visionary leader, he was quietly, in his life, was quietly collapsing from the inside out. On the surface, everything looked great. He had success. He was a dot-com person. Everything about his life looked like there was success. But beneath the entire experience was how he grew up. And that was, he had experienced trauma. He had a very perfectionist-oriented father. And so his nervous system was always on edge. He was always looking for a way to calm himself down from the anxiety that he experienced. His early wounds hardened into self-doubt, and challenges later anxiety and the relentless critic in his head of saying that he was not enough. He digressed to addiction and to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Have you ever been emotionally exhausted? Have you ever been to a point like if somebody else tells me something else is wrong or something else they need, I just can't take it in. I just can't take it in right now. Yeah, I got to take a break. That's where he was. He was at the end of his rope. And as he was trying to tie a knot at the end of his rope and hang on, he couldn't tie the knot. He was, as he said, in his primal state, a state of fear, overwhelm, and the mind's incessant chatter that it is not going to work for me. Do you know someone's life that is collapsing? Is your life collapsing? Maybe it's not collapsing, but it is fragile, brittle. And you think one more thing will take you out. One more thing and it's going to all fall apart. That's not the case, because just because where we are stuck in life, we can always choose for our life to be different, more aliveness, more happiness, and more satisfaction. I want all of you to test me on this one thing. I have to talk about satisfaction one morning. Maybe I'll figure it out. He had reached the point, though, where self-help was not helping. Awareness was no longer healing, and achievement was no longer satisfying him. And no matter what your personal improvement process is, no matter how many books you read to improve yourself, how many workshops you attend, and how many motivational speeches you hear by that famous man that stands in front of you every Sunday, it will only work if you work it. It will only work if you work it. I can inspire you. I can encourage you. You can think, if I just hear it one more time, that it will all get through, but you must work with what you get. Johnny Coleman put it this way. She said, it'll work if you work it. And if you don't work, it won't work. He finally understood that his life was collapsing right in front of him, not because of what had been done to him, but because of the meaning he had assigned to his experiences. The meaning. We are in control of the meaning that we apply to every situation. No, they did not make you mad. No, they did not do it to you. You interpret the meaning from that experience, which means you are always in control. You know, I tell you frequently, if you don't want responsibility, don't come up in here. Because that's all you're going to hear. That's science of mind. This happened. I didn't like it. It wasn't my fault. Yet I'm still responsible. You are responsible for every decision that you make in your life. And at this breaking point where he was raw and vulnerable, he realized the problem wasn't his circumstances. His problem was the subconscious programs that were running in his mind. You know, when you're not paying attention and that thought comes to mind, the defeatist thought, not the positive one, the defeatist thought, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to survive. It's not going to work for me this time. That is that unconscious belief that is running in your mind. He was suffering not from a verdict, but his suffering was a signal that it was time for a change. And this is what we should all understand. When we are at the end of our rope and life is collapsing right in front of us, it is a signal that it is time for change. And that is when, and unless we make a decision for it to change, at the point that the signal is there, we will stay right in that repeat cycle. Have you ever just put something on repeat and it just plays over and over again? And hopefully those are encouraging words, not that I'm going to fail. Or as I had one disappointment when I was in high school, and I won't talk about what that disappointment was, but nonetheless, it was something we've all experienced. And I remember I played Natalie Cole's I'm Catching Hell. I played it so much my parents said, baby, you're going to have to get over this, whatever it is. Because how, when you have a record player and it's an album, can you get it to play over and over again? For those of you who don't know anything about record players, it starts at the beginning. That's just the way it is. But I had figured out if I set it at the right place, it would always start, I'm Catching Hell, and it was in the middle of the album. On repeat. I had made it repeat long before you went online and hit repeat. I was there. I was catching hell. And I had to decide that my life was going to change or I was going to stay in the experience that I was in. There are always seasons in life where we all feel that we are trapped. We feel like we're just not going to get things to go in the direction that we want. Maybe your dreams feel like you're not going to achieve them. But it's not the circumstances in life that are posed to us or imposed upon us by other people that creates the limitation. The limitation is created by the meaning that we apply to it. And the meaning that we apply to it is called a decision. That's all it is. It's a decision. But if you made your mind to be in this place with this understanding, what can you do? You have the power to change your thinking and change your life. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one that have had these experiences where the voice whispers limits or rehearses old stories that are replayed in your life that you didn't realize that you had memorized. Do you ever walk around and hear your parents or family members or somebody's voice in your head and they have passed from this expression to the next and they are still talking and they haven't learned anything new to say? They are still repeating the same thing. I'm catching hell, I'm catching hell, and I'm catching hell over and over again because we don't realize it, but we have recorded. We have saved every one of those messages, and we have decided that they are true. We have applied the meaning to this experience. Has anybody lived long enough to realize that your parents were not always right? Now, I can only say that because they're on the other side. Because if my mother was still on this side, she would come up and correct me right now. Oh, no, darling, I did a good job. And if you go off and don't do the right thing, that's on you. That's my mother. And I love her for it. She did do a nice job, but she also did some things wrong, but I can only talk about that now. We carry them around. We carry these stories around, some of them before we could ever write, before we could ever read. These are when the stories are written in our experience. And let me tell you how you know the story is there, because you feel it. And if you think about it, there are things that can happen, smells you can be around. You can hear something or hear a song, and it brings out an emotion in you before you get the thought that reminds you of where you got it from. And that, if you ever want to remember anything, have something traumatic happen at the same time. We can remember it every time. I will struggle to remember my blessings, but I remember every time my feelings have been hurt. And I have to decide whether or not I'm going to choose to believe and think of something else other than the stuff that people have given to me, said to me, or I experienced, or I perceived that I don't really want in my life. David Bayer's Change Your Mind, a changed mind. What his point is that you can live in this cycle of trying and trying and trying and trying, but you've never figured out how to change. And his argument is it's the decisions that we make about the experiences that we have. He says suffering arises from restrictive assumptions, which are essentially misreadings of a fundamentally benevolent and wise reality. In other words, it's a lie. We have to all understand and we have to all choose, is the universe for us or against us? Have you ever met anybody and they thought everything was against them? Ooh, Lord, that's a lot of work. That's emotional exhaustion. It's like, yes, why are you still here? Why are you still talking to me? You're killing me here. And no matter how you try to rationalize with them, right? No matter how you try to explain something different, they argue with you. And you know what they say, but. How many times has somebody given you good news and you said, but? You're beautiful, but. You look nice in your outfit today, but. In other words, whatever you're saying, I deny it. I have made a decision that what you are saying is not true because I have decided that something else is true. I have added a different meaning than the meaning that you are giving me. Then why can't we apply meaning to the things in life that are negative that have played themselves off in our life? Why are they on repeat? Why are they playing I'm catching hell over and over and over again? I've lived it. Maybe I'm the only one, but I know many of you, so I know you've been here too. But we don't have to stay here. We never have to stay here. There is no experience in life that we have to stay where we are. We can change our thinking and change our life. We are empowered to do just that. Our culture gives us scarcity and criticisms and expectations, and sometimes there are unreasonable experiences. I know people in life who cared enough about me that did not want me to be hurt and said I couldn't do certain things. I interpreted it as their lack of confidence in me, when they were in many situations just trying to protect me from the hurt, harm, and danger of just living in society. When I left Michigan, I moved to Florida, I didn't know anyone. I had never lived more than 45 minutes away from my parents. And how do you decide to do it? There was two groups of people. There were people that said, I know you're going to make it because you are going to make it. Your life is going to open up for you. And there were other people say, are you sure? Are you sure you want to go there? Rick, it's the South. Now, I will tell you, eventually I agreed with them. Nonetheless, it wasn't because why can't people just support you in your decisions? But. The book reminds us that our early experiences in life, the trauma, the painful experiences that we have applied meaning to them. I cannot encourage this enough. I almost dropped the book. We have applied meaning to the experience. Sometimes our interpretation was wrong. And sometimes our current interpretation is incorrect. It's just incorrect. We have seen how childhood beliefs about money and about love and worthiness can play themselves out. But there's good news. We're not condemned to repeat anything once we decide that we're going to make a different decision. We are not prisoners to our beliefs. We are not stuck in the mind that we were born with. We can change our thinking, make different decisions, and change our life. Not tomorrow, today. You will talk yourself out of it if you wait to make the decision tomorrow. You must make it before you leave here today. My life is not going to be this way. It's going to be this way. And it doesn't have to be bad. It's just I decided it's time for a change. Yeah, it's just time for a change. Because God, the higher consciousness, has always given us this one thing. What? Creative power. And that creative power, when we make decisions and we draw conclusions and make decisions about things and apply meaning to them, we create the belief within ourselves. And I don't know about you. If I get a belief, I can make everything reinforce what I think. Because if I think something, by the way, I am right. 100% of the time. And I can be so wrong. So wrong. Now, I will admit it, but it ain't going to be fast. Eventually, I'll admit it. But by the time I admit it, I have overcome. I'm talking about it in victory. And even though I didn't believe it when it was said, I was 100% confident at the time that it occurred that I was going to make it over anyway. No, I wasn't. Not at the time. But that's the story I tell about what happened. He continues to write about the vast interconnectedness of all experiences and all people. We impact and affect each other. When you are not doing well, we can feel it. And when you are doing well, we can rejoice with you. Because we are all connected in that kind of way. And we don't always have to be in the presence of the person to feel the experience. Can you feel the experience of the people that you love? May not always understand exactly what it is, but you know when to call, you know when to pray, because you can just feel something. And he talks about these old ideas that come back. The idea that comes back after you have made up your mind for things to be different. Right after you make a decision today and you leave here and it's different than you have decided, and you decide to go back to the previous belief. He calls it echo phenomenon. He says these are when old beliefs resurface in our experience, even though we have chosen new ones. They show up again because we gave them meaning. And we have to believe beyond the circumstances. Remember, faith is what happens when you don't know, not when you know. The science of mind people that tell you got to know what you know and that's what faith is, they are wrong, honey. Faith is something you have when you don't know. And it will carry you through because I know the loving presence of God is always with me, even when I don't feel it. We choose hope even when doubt echoes. We choose love even when our old wounds echo. And once we make these declarations in our own experience, you know what creation does? You know what reality does? It says, amen. It confirms your belief. That is the interesting thing about creative power, that the law always says, yes, I'm going to fail. Yes. I'm going to be successful. Yes. It's the creative power that we associate with it. And the bad feeling that we get is just a reminder that we've already assigned meaning to it. So what belief is holding you back? What is shaping you? What assumptions hold you back? What childhood sentence continues to play and prevents you from going to the next chapter in your experience? He writes, Belief systems are not inherent truths, but choices rooted in past experiences. And there are many things about our past where we have to reinterpret them. Everything in life was not good, but it works together for good. Because when I was in it, it wasn't good, and when I think about it, it still wasn't good. But I've learned that it works together for good. So we can choose again. We can decide differently. We can rewrite the script that we are a part of. We can shift from the primal state of fear to a position, what he calls the powerful state. And even when we are in the primal state, we are working with the power. This is the thing about the law that just racks with me. When I'm right, it says yes, and when I'm wrong, it says yes, it just says yes. But you are always at a point of choice and control to change your experience. We must confirm within our own experiences that we are powerful, that we are prosperous, that we are abundant, that we are just overcoming people. Because life will then echo back that you are exactly what you believe yourself to be. We are transformed not for our own personal use only, but because the entire community benefits from your transformation. There are people that I have watched over the years, and you are a blessing now, but you got on my nerves when I first met you. And I'm sure many of you think that about me, and some of you, I'm still getting on your nerves. That just lets you know I'm good for you. And if the one thing about knowing that you can change your mind or change mine is you find out that you have everything that you need already within you to have the power to make the changes in your life that you want. The power is already there. It is factory installed. Power to rise, power to overcome, to step out of the primal state of fear and step into the most powerful state of making up your mind what you want your experience to be. I have decided I don't care what anybody else's meaning is about my life. I'm writing the meaning about my life. Then I have to deal with the fact when it's not working, it was my decision all the time, right? Because when you change your life, life starts moving. And when you change your mind, storms start calming. And when you change your mind, chains become broken. And when you change your mind, the doors start opening. And when you change your mind, life begins to testify back to you what you believe. Life says, amen. What will be your declaration about your life this morning? What do you choose to believe? I choose to believe stuff sometimes that I don't even feel yet, but I choose it because I choose what is best for me. What will you choose? Recognizing that all of the meaning that we place at anything in life is always under our control. And the meaning that we determine is called a decision. But we can change our thinking, make a new decision, and change our life. And so it is. Mm-hmm.